What's up, guys? One thing that's taken over the fishing industry, especially up north, is big oversized hair jigs. And today I got with me the Outcast Tackle Chicken. And this is basically a technique that was taken from the Tennessee River and brought up to Minnesota. Brad Leitner made these jigs a while back, and they are a fish catcher. You know, with the profile, it's kind of a subtle profile, but an oversized profile at the same time, so you can get big bites with this bait. And one thing that the problem is a lot of people don't understand how to fish it, because it can be a little bit tricky because we have all this grass up in Minnesota, but it can be fished deep and it can be fished shallow, but it's not really made to like come through weeds. So what I like to do with it is, right now we're sitting in about 20 some feet of water, but there's a point coming down, and this is great for fishing over like hard bottom or sandy bottom on like deeper structure. So right now I casted it out. I'm just gonna let it fall. I'm gonna burn it a little bit, let it fall, and I want it to hit bottom. And what that's doing is it's making it look like a bluegill is like flailing to the bottom of the bottom, you know. So I'm just gonna crank it, let it fall, crank it, let it fall. And pretty much that's how I'm gonna fish it through and through over deep stuff. And then when I get up into that like 12-foot zone and I wanna burn it past like weed lines and stuff like that, one thing that I learned last year was you can parallel a weed line and throw it on that, and that works really good to catch them. The setup that I'm using for this is a 7'6" medium heavy, and I'm running all fluorocarbon on it. This is 20-pound Seagar and Vizex, and it works really good. Like, I've tried braid a leader, and I just think that with all fluorocarbon, I just get a little bit better hook placement. So I let it bounce, pick it up, let it bounce, pick it up. Now it's dropping. And a lot of times too, you'll get fish to chase this thing pretty frequently. I'll watch it on live scope. It shows up great on live scope too. So it's really good. It's a really good tool. It can be used in more than one way. Like, I can tell if fish are hugging the bottom on this little dealer right here, I can tell by throwing this out, they'll come up and follow it. But one thing that's unique about the Chicken, it's made out of a premium hair. All the ties on the jig are like absolutely perfect. I've never had an issue with the quality of the tie with them. And then there's the hook too. This hook is uber sharp and super sticky sharp as it comes in the package. So very, very quality hair jig, and definitely worth the money. Chuck it out there again. Now we're coming up to like a little bit shallower stuff, and I'm still gonna do the same thing. If I like get a weed on it, that's fine, and I just shake it off. So I just hit bottom right there. I'm gonna crank it up slowly, raise my rod tip, because that's gonna make it pendulum swing down. There's one. Oh, he ate it. And this might be a big one. That thing ate it on the fall. Oh my gosh, this might be a giant, dude. Oh, it's a pike. Dude, this thing is heavy. And for you musky guys out there, it'll definitely catch a muskie. Loosen my drag up a little bit for this guy. This thing is actually kind of big. Well, that's why there's not a bass up there. This big ass thing is living up there. Okay. So we really don't need to. Whoa, that thing was pissed. Let's throw one more cast out there and see if we can get a bass. Dang, I thought I had a 7-pounder on, and that would have been perfect timing. Yeah. So I'm gonna throw it out there again. And again, like, the key is how you fish this thing. You don't just fish it like a fighter fly where you're just like a slow retrieve. You got to trigger the strike like I just did right there. Just wrong species. So again, crank it. I'm gonna raise the rod tip up, and that's gonna cause that bait to go like this. and kind of dive down to the bottom. And then as soon as it comes back up, I'm gonna raise my rod tip up and just slowly crank it in. You know, and I'm sure that there's more than one way to fish this bait. Like, you could slow retrieve it, and whenever I get next to weed lines, like I was saying earlier, when I parallel them, I really think that that's like the deal, is a slow roll across those weed lines. It looks like there's a bluegill trying to swim up. Casts a mile too. My favorite size, so they come in 5/8 and 3/4. And my favorite size, oh, and 1/2 ounce too, but my favorite size is 5/8. I think that 1/2 ounce is just a little bit small for what I do with it. 1/2 ounce is just a little bit small for what I like to do with it. It does take a minute to fall because of all the hair. And one thing you can do too, if you really want to, now for me, I like the oversized profile. Like, I like how big it is because I think that I just get more bites, or I get bigger bites with it. Like that one that I just got, that giant pike. But I just think that you get more bites with that oversized profile. But one thing that you could do if you really wanted to is take and cut it down just a little bit. You could skinny this up a little bit and take some off and make it just a little bit smaller. And take one more cast with it, and I'll show you guys some colors. Maybe that's why there's no bass up there, is because that big freaking pike is just living up there. But this thing does fall a lot slower than what it looks like it would. So don't be scared of that 5/8 ounce, especially like I kind of was, and I bought a lot of 1/2 ounces. And one thing with that 1/2 ounce jig is it just takes so long to get to the bottom, and it's hard to get the bites triggered when it's not like going down and shooting down for some reason. I just find that if the slower it is, they don't want to eat it as good, versus like the 5/8 or 3/4, that thing just dives, and I don't know what it is about that diving motion, but they just for some reason just come unglued. I think there's, wait, nope. And that's another thing too. I'll take one more cast here. Last one. That's another thing that I'll do, is I'll release my bail, and that does another deal. That makes it drop even faster. Instead of going like this, I'll do two different ways. So when I bring it in, click my drag open, pull it, let it fall, click my drag open, let it fall, reel, and just kind of give it that pause, stop, let it drop. Just kind of doing all kinds of different things with it is definitely a good way. It's definitely a good way to get bit. And you know, when you get bit, it's kind of like a swim jig. You know, you make sure that they have it. You're gonna feel the bite. Usually they don't short strike this thing. Usually this thing is gone. Come on. Oh, I thought so. God, they are everywhere on that. There. Got him. On the fall. It's just one of those days. Oh. Mid-strolling the chicken. Dang. They freaking busted up over that. Not a bad one. For this body of water, that's not a bad fish. So they freaking choked it that time. I watched the whole school come up for that. So here are some of my favorite colors. This is like a bluegill color or a bluegill pattern. This works really good, like especially in really clear bodies of water where they're keying in on bluegill, obviously. And then I got this color, which whenever they're keying in on crappie, same thing with this one too. Whenever they're keying in on crappie, these can be great baits for clear or dark water. It really doesn't matter. And then I got this one too, which is awesome in the fall time. I don't know what it is, but whether you're in clear or dirty water, they seem to work really good in the fall time. But you guys can get these over at Omnia Fishing. I'll drop a link down below. Until then, we'll see you guys on the water.
It was always me versus me. It was never me versus you. Misunderstood. Get up, had to